Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of Democracy and the Rule of Law, a program where we'll take a look at topical national issues from the perspective of the rule of law and the Constitution. My name is Judith Renwa. Last week was quite busy, so to say, in Nigeria. First, as the president replaced the economic management team with an economic advisory council. Also, the Committee for the Recovery of Assets was also disbanded by the president, among other issues, with Nigerians attributing politics to it. You know, in Nigeria, nothing goes, nothing goes without Nigerians reading different meaning into every activity, especially as it borders the activities of the presidency. Also, during the week, senators are also defending the need for luxury cars for lawmakers. A suit was instituted by civil society organizations urging the court to restrain the Senate from going ahead with the purchase of the luxury cars. Will this suit stand? Is it legal? All right, these and many more issues are what we'll be taking a look at on today's edition on Democracy and the Rule of Law. But first, I introduce our guests, our lawyers who will be setting the issues straight. And this will further go on to shaping public opinion on these matters. It's nice to have you on today's edition of Democracy and the Rule of Law, Barrister Fred Aigbaduma.
Very well. Welcome.
All right, good afternoon. And Barrister Akim Fadun, you're welcome.
Yeah, my pleasure being here.
All right. I listened to the chairman of the APC last week. He was commenting on the activities of the presidency, and he now said something that the President Buhari is no longer Baba Go Slow. He's now Baba Fast. Now let's look at the politics behind President Buhari's new economic team. I know the Economic Advisory Council is constitutional. What he has done is just simply doing his constitutional duties with the replacement of the EAC with the EMT. But why Nigerians seem to be reacting is because just barely few hours after the EMT headed by Vice President Oshibajo met, that was when the new Economic Advisory Council was announced, and it got many Nigerians talking. But first, I'll ask you, Barrister Fred, what's your take on this?
Well, like you started with, it's purely a constitutional issue. And if you look at the Constitution very well, especially Section 5, you look at 1 talking about the president, that is executive power, as to be exercised duly, lawfully, properly, and validly by the president. Then if you go to subsection 2, you will see that of the state executive, that is the governor, the deputy governor, and the commissioners. So the point is clear that the president has that constitutional power to do what he has done. And I keep saying that we have to be very, very, very careful, because we should not be overacting or reacting to conjectures and speculations. Even if there is any ulterior motive, like Odumaki will say, it's a question of time. But ordinarily, he has the power to do what he has done. I'm not holding brief for the presidency or for Buhari as a person. But what I'm saying is that let's look at the Constitution. Let's stop chasing shadows. Let's face substance. Let's stop majoring on the minor. Let's major in the major. Honestly speaking, if we look at the Constitution the way it is today, like somebody has said before, Nigerian president is one of the strongest presidents in the whole world, or the most powerful president in the whole world, based on that military constitution. And I keep saying that constitution is more of a military constitution, that is a unitary government compared to federalism. And if we are talking of true federalism, the starting point is to do a tinkering with the constitution, a fundamental one, a basic one, and a crucial one, so that even the office of the vice president and the office of the deputy governor will be formally recognized by the constitution, and certain power will now be bestowed upon these offices, so that they will not just be toothless bulldog, they will not be extra tires, and they will not just be there at the whims and the caprices of the president or the governor. So the issue is that the constitution has to be amended. We are not only clamoring for the reduction of the power of the president, because it's Buhari today, it could be any other person tomorrow. Obasanjo was there, you all know what he did, because of their military background. That tendency, like I keep telling people, that if you are not careful, we are able to make the president an emperor.
All right.
Especially when you look at the structures in Nigeria today. From state to state, we are talking of, is it 6 geographical or political zones? So, by and large, what we are doing too are contributing or adding or accentuating the power of the president and the possibility or propensity to emerge otherwise.
All right, Barrister Kim, let's look at it this way. The new team was constituted, like I said, just hours after Oshibajo's EMT, met, and also President Buhari went ahead to replace all those public sector officials headed by Vice President Oshibajo with completely private, sector guys. The chairman of the EAC is an economist, Adedoyin Salami. Yes. We have the former CBN governor, Charles Soludo, renowned economist Bismarck Rewani, and many others. Now, would you say, and none of the members of the EMT was on the EAC, would you say this is sort of an admission by the presidency that the VP-led EMT was a failure? Do you think it anyway indicates in that direction?
I think it will be taking it a bit too far to call it a failure.
All right.
I would want to say that if we want to look at it with any lack of bias, the new team is a team of economists. I know very well that the chairman is probably a dean in the Lagos Business School.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They teach people how to manage economies at the grassroots level. So instead of telling people what to do at the grassroots level, they have been promoted to do it. Because people now say that we should stop politicians and go the way of technocrats, people who are actually skilled in this business. With the greatest of respects, the vice president is a lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and was a lecturer in the University of Lagos. Now we have someone who is a renowned economist. At least for a few times, I've seen Bismarck Rewani on television, analyzing economic issues. And of course, most of the time, I'm usually awed by the things he says, because of course, he understands what the problem is. Yeah. He doesn't go about banding figures and point this point. Yes, he does. But what he does is that he does it in comparison to what a local Nigerian would understand. He goes with the price of beans, price of rice, price of eggs. That's where he explains when he's analyzing. And I'm usually awed by the way he goes about it. He knows what he's doing. I was thinking in my mind, when I saw him maybe 2 weeks ago, during the analysis, why is this guy not in government? Why is he not our Minister of Finance? Or maybe some close to that. And then a few weeks later, I hear that it has been appointed on the economic team. Of course, I think it's very good news. But of course, you will see that in our society, there's always 3 groups at every point in time. There is the people in power. There is the opposition, who will never see anything good with people in power. And then there is that cabal that you always hear about. That cabal. I think the only time we didn't hear about it very much was during Obasanjo's tenure, and because of his nature.
Yeah.
He is the cabal himself. He's not going to give room for any cabal. Yes. But President Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, President Jonathan, and now President Buhari, you always hear of the cabal. That hidden hand that is controlling the knob behind the scenes. So you always hear about it. So of course, the cabal will always want the interest of the presidency at the moment to be protected, and the opposition will never see anything good. So I feel that maybe we are just raising dust or a storm in the teacup, as they call it, at this moment, because the vice president has paved way for seasoned economists to take charge of the economy of Nigeria, which of course is not doing too well as we would want to believe. So I feel there is nothing bad. It's more of politics at this point. Maybe if there's some other vital facts we can hold on to, then maybe we can consider maybe something is wrong. But for now, economists should handle the issue of economy, and that's what
What up? Hey, 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 hey. When it's time to party, I'll be zoning out. I can feel it in my body, I'ma show it now. It's like a workout, I'm trying to set goals. I'ma keep it moving till the sweat shows. Gotta let them know, yo, it's party time. If you don't participate, that's a party crime. Pick a choice, chill, relax, or get like me, turn it to the max. Looking at the clock, still no time for hating. We're taking over, world domination. Keep it going, long conversation. We balling out, they all commentating. What it do? Tell me what it did do. You're looking at the opposite of pitiful. Solidify, certified, validated. I'm with the groove and I stay dedicated. Shine bright, let it flash, then we make them watch. Get your mind right, brainwash the brainwash. A bit of this, a bit of that, get your soul awakened. Guardian of the galaxy, you know the station.
What's wrong with you, sweetheart?
What's wrong? That's the guy who was making out with my mother at the movies.
You bastard. Take this! Let me
Enough,
go!
Pablo, that's enough!
Damn you, let me go, let me go!
Pablo, get out right now!
Let me go!
I'm sorry.
This isn't over yet! Come here!
No, Dad,
Come
don't
back
go!
here! Where are you going, you idiot? You're not walking out of here after attacking me like that!
I'm not involved like that with your wife, all right?
She's not my wife, she's a whore!
Stop them from fighting! Break those two up! Can't you see they're killing each other, for God's sake?
Eva La Trilera, all roads lead to love. Think scheming, suspicion, love triangles, plot twists, betrayal and revenge. This series has it all. But at its core spins the story of Eva Soler, a woman discovering her strength through her own undoing. Played by the ever-enchanting Edith Gonzalez, Eva is a tough and determined beauty who always dreamed of becoming a truck driver.
Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be a truck driver like you.
It's not a job for pretty girls like you. No, it's for brutes like me who don't know how to behave. Behave right in front of pretty ladies like you.
So then teach me how to fight and how to defend myself against those brutes.
So when she inherited her late father's truck, her life started to fall into place. She found love, settled down to start a family, and even established her own transport business. Fast forward a few years and all is not well in paradise. Between her two troubled daughters, with issues ranging from asparagus to substance abuse, a sister who envies her deeply, and a best friend who is also her worst enemy, Eva has enough to contend with.
Your daughter's Ava. Adriana won't be your little girl anymore. She's now the wife of my brother, and he won't hesitate in destroying.
What up? Hey, 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 hey. When When it's time to party, I'll be zoning out. I can feel it in my body, I'ma show it now. It's like a workout, I'm trying to set goals. I'ma keep it moving till the sweat shows. Gotta let them know, yo, it's party time. If you don't participate, that's a party crime. Pick a choice, chill, relax, or get like me, turn it to the max. Looking at the clock, still no time for hating. We're taking over, world domination. Keep it going, long conversation. We balling out, they all commentating. What it do? Tell me what it did it do. You're looking at the opposite of pitiful. Solidify, certified, validated. I'm with the groove and I stay dedicated. Shine bright, let it flash, then we make them watch. Get your mind right, brainwash the brainwash. A bit of this, a bit of that, get your soul awake.
All right, you're welcome back, and you're still watching Democracy and the Rule of Law. Though that was a long break, but we sincerely apologize for taking so long to return. Well, our third guest is on the table with us now. He is the former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Barrister Adekunle Ojo. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right, and now question mark hangs over President Buhari's reason, no reason actually was given for creating the new Economic Advisory Council. Many Nigerians, saying this team is assembled to give President Buhari's administration more credibility as as regards the economics of the country. But some are saying it is, on the other hand, whittling down Vice President Osinbajo's already lean powers. Do you see it that way?
Well, it's unfortunate that at times people in government, they prefer to a fire brigade approach to issues. Otherwise, these are things that you can just come out and explain to Nigerians. As far as some of us are concerned, particularly my humble self, he has not done anything that is out of place. I tell you, because the so-called economic management team itself has no constitutional coloration. It has nothing. Both the economic management team and the economic advisory council, they are persons brought together by the president to assist him. It's at his prerogative. It's different from the National Economic Council, which is a constitutional one. Are you with me? If it comes to National Economic Council, which is a constitutional thing, the vice president cannot be removed, because it's a body that brings together the vice president and the governors. So apparently the other team, this so-called economic management team, it's a team brought together by the president to assist him. Apparently the National Economic Council too will still assist him, but then he has not in any way taken away from the vice president what he Itato had enjoyed. And above all, If I'm going to become a vice president, the constitutional provisions are already there. It's either I'm okay with it or I'm not okay with it. That is where we are today. As much as I agree with my learned friends who says yes, let there be an elaborate, a broader, a more liberal provision for the vice president so that he can have more to do with the people. He can have more things to do. But then if you look at it by and large, it's about you and your president. If you have a president that trusts you so much, he can as well allow you. In fact, in the first 4 years of Obasanjo, I can tell you that it was Atiku that ruled throughout. So apparently everything was left for him. And I think this president too, as much as I'm not in the kitchen team of those who decide things, but I could see that he has allowed so much to be done by the vice president, and I believe that he can still allow more to be done by, but by and large, if you look at the people that are shouting, the people that are shouting words now, that are crying, they are the people crying more than the belief, because it's either they belong to, are you shouting because you love the vice president so much? Are you shouting because you hate the, but we could see that people, what's the business of the opposition? What's the business of a particular faction of Afenifere? You have never seen anything good in this government, so why are you worried? Allow it to be. So apparently it's just like people trying to say, okay, look, they are not doing it well, let us throw more spanner into their votes, into their boat rather. Let's bring a much crisis to them. So as far as I am concerned, nothing has happened that is unusual, honestly speaking. And like my learned friend said, my learned friend on the far end, these are seasoned economists. The question now should be, the question that I think should agitate the minds of Nigeria is, will the president listen to them?
Will they allow them?
Will they listen to them? That's number one. And then if you look at them, because I'm not a student of macro and microeconomics, I'm a student of practical economics. I believe somebody who will go to the market, who will find out what is going on there. It's not people who will come with big English. Even this assemblage, maybe perhaps except for like somebody like Rewan, Bismarck, maybe about a few others, but then if you bring in somebody from IMF, there are people who will see it the way the Western people want us to see it. So we are not, people might be shouting, yeah, it's good that you are brought in economists, but then you should ask your question, are they in the likes of the Alucos of this world? Because I can tell you, one of the best economy we ever had in Nigeria was during the Abacha era. It was at a time that the pump price of fuel had to be brought down. At a point, yes, he was forced not to have so much dealings with the outside world. So we have to look inwards. Are we ready to look inwards now? Are we ready to grow the economy? Are we still going to continue to grow our economy on the basis of dollar? Or are we looking at our naira on how to surge it up? What we have here, are we going to continue to send it to America or to wherever for people to refine for us? Then we bring in a finished product, we can't get out of it if that continues.
All right. Then the question now is, why, if these are seasoned economists, I do agree, but Nigerians are asking, why did it take the president so long to do this?
We're better late than ever. Better late than never. If he has done it this time around, maybe perhaps, you see, you are bound to do some self-examination. If I've had the opportunity to run a system for 4 years, and I looked at it that, look, yes, they have tried their best, but because I tell you one truth, people are ascribing failure. I don't ascribe failure to such persons. The finance ministers, they are seasoned economists as well. The man in charge of national planning and all whatnot. Even the Udo Doma of a man is the budget man. Yeah, he's a lawyer, but then he still has some leanings towards his bias towards. So I think basically it's not about failure, but it's about looking at it. Look, how can we bring our people out of the wood? And he has decided to do it.
So you're not ascribing any politics to it?
No, not at what you have just said.
All right, go ahead.
You asked a very, very germane question, We should not forget that he has a new mandate. It's like starting all over again. And as he's taking off, he's looking at the fresh mandate and making what we call a reapproachment, a reconsideration, for the purpose of making meaningful impacts. Let's hope, like he was pointing out, that the powers that be, he mentioned it too, the hands or the fingers behind the scene, we allow these people to operate the way they should operate. And like I stated before, it's a question of his priority, it's a question of his discretion, and it's a question of his prerogative, my learned friend pointed out. So he can decide to say, okay, Osinbajo remain here, I will look at, let me try these other people too. You have tried. Let's try this other angle. And somebody was saying, oh, why did he not say anything? We are all used to him now. If you want to hear anything meaningful, anything far-reaching, anything fundamental from this president, wait until it's outside the country. I think that
why did you wait 15 hours after the same EMT met?
Judith, let me add this. Sorry.
Okay.
You see, tomorrow I won't be surprised if at the end of the day we find out that Osinbajo was even one of the persons that constituted this new body. There's nothing wrong in that.
It's a balanced one.
It's a balanced one. There's nothing wrong in what has happened.
All right.
Let's hope that there will be progress. Things will change.
That's all we hope for.
Transformation.
Also, the president on Tuesday dissolved the Special Presidential Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property chaired by Mr. Okoye Obono Obla, and the duties of the SPIP was transferred to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to continue with all outstanding investigations and other activities of the SPIP. Do you think that was a good one, in the right direction, Versaki?
Well, as we say in law, the matter is presently sub judice. He filed a suit in court to challenge everything that has been said against him. So there's an allegation of alleged corruption, and I've gone to court to say that so persons are behind my unfortunate travels.
That's just the chairman of that particular.
Yes, that's the chairman.
He was even suspended before.
After a while, because some people feel that maybe they have gone beyond their constitutional or the reason why they were created. It's not constitutional, yes. They have gone beyond the reasons why. And maybe that's why people are giving some life to the story about the vice president and all of that. Maybe some people believe that these persons are hounding some opponents or friends of government, depending on who is talking. So in the circumstance, there's a lot of allegations here and there, but you don't have any proof yet. So this kind of issues, I am certain that there will be some sort of political coloration to it, depending on who is angered and who wants to seek revenge. But I've said, sub judice, he went to court, the chairman went to court. So he said he had been alleged to do this and do that. So now they feel that they should just collapse the whole thing. Since they brought it in, they should collapse it. It doesn't have any constitutional ground or leg to stand on, just like the dissolved thing. So you can't really fault the president for attacking for saying he has done something that's unconstitutional. So people just draw inferences based on the political happenings of the time, just inferences.
Let me quickly add to what you have just said. We should get something clear. When we are talking of the presidential power or the power of the president, we should be able to distinguish or draw a line of divide between when it's exercising pure constitutional power and when it's using its discretion. Like when you look at it, all these offices, all these special counsel, special bodies, special team, they are all under the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation. So, like he pointed out, sub judice is only to an extent. He has gone to court to challenge his suspension or removal. And the ground for the same suspension is that it's under probe by ICP. I think they've even made their recommendation to the presidency on his educational qualification, WAEC, before the university. And they are saying that if the WAEC certificate cannot stand, then the BN LLB cannot stand.
Because it won't have anything to stand, of course.
USC and McFoy. There will be no basis to that, far less that of the law school. So that is one. But on the issue of the dissolution, the president has the power to so do. But let's hope that it was done with genuine motive.
All right. Now, let me just ask you, with the decisions the president made this past week, are you proud of all he has done? I hear a lot of people saying this is a new one from the president. This is a new president. This is not the same president who took some certain actions in the last 4 years. This is like a new Buhari. And before you came on the show, I made reference to what the chairman of the APC said. Oshimole said, this is no longer Baba go slow. This is now Baba fast. What do you feel about the decisions he has made so far?
Well, I think by and large, well, he has made some decisions, and we are hoping that he will make some further, more entrenched decisions that will help this country out of our problem, a far-reaching one. But beyond that, you see, it's not about what you have decided, it's about what your decisions are able to accomplish. That's just my issue. For me, it's good that he's doing all these things. It's good that, and we have a problem. We are peculiar people. That's the bitter truth. We read politics to almost everything in this country. In fact, at a point, some people, even the Obla, at a point said that the person was that his main antagonist was the vice president. Exactly. And people now, when the body was dissolved now, some people were quick to go out and say, oh, it's because it is under the vice president. So you can find out that people are ready to give the dog a bad name just so that it is. But having said that much, for me, I think the president, I'm not disappointed that he has decided to work this way. He's got just 4 years more to help Nigeria out of our problems, and whatever he cannot accomplish now for life, he will not be able to do it again. So let it be that he has started to do it the proper manner. And I want us to take this home, that whether we like it or not, he's not working at variance with his vice president. There is nothing on the picture to show that the president and the vice president are not on the same line. We can only help them by praying for them to work together. We can only encourage unity rather than being divisive about our because a lot of people are ready to go to town and say, oh, it's against Yoruba, it's against Igbo, it's a Fulanization thing, it's Islamization thing. What has Islamization got to do with EMT and EAC? Nothing, absolutely nothing. So I think basically, you see, when at the point they said that, look, we are going to make sure that the abuse of social media is prevented. I think it's a very serious thing, because you find out that you see some postings and you begin to wonder, where is this one coming from, and you try to open it, the thing will never open. So many of such. So I think basically it's not helping the country because of the kind of peculiarities that we have, but rather we should have a change of art. Just if the president is now doing it well, we should encourage him to do it better.
All right, like you said, taking on from where you stopped, you talked about social media. Right. I read a whole lot of things on social media this past week. Some were like, seemed Osinbajo was gearing towards 2023, and in a bid to stifle his powers, the president decided to take some things away from him. And some people are already talking about the 2023 presidency. Where should it go? And we can't deny the fact that Nigerians, after 2019 elections, people are already preparing for 2023.
The question should be, is Osinbajo preparing to take over 2023? He has not said that. Nobody has said that. Let me say this. I'm personally gratified that this is happening. Under military regime, can you speculate to this extent? There's no room for speculation to this extent when it comes to the next political move. So everything that is happening, all that we can see, all that is obvious, are still part of what? Politics. So the game of politics continues. As they are dropping at the end of an election, before the next one, there will be what we call a political rationalization, permutation, calculation. And that is what is happening. So it's part of supposing perhaps it's working for somebody. I'm sure that person is well known to all of us too. Some people are saying, oh, it's Tinubu that is working towards 2023. At a point, it was the play card of this man, El-Rufai, and the governor of the APC chairman that was abused in the social media. That it's likely to be that El-Rufai will be the president, or Adams will be the president, El-Rufai will be the vice president. But everything goes to one point. We are still talking about politics. And it's because that freedom of expression is well entrenched under the Constitution. Even though to an extent now, especially this second time, it appears they are trying to control and monitor it to an extent. But it's still part of politics. That's what I would say.
Well, good that we are playing politics.
Yes.
Good that we are playing. But then, what I'm only urging is that it should be played the way it's played elsewhere. You see, if you get to US, you get in better climes, in more senior climes, yes, politics are being played. People are being put forward for one position or the other. But then if you have to castigate him, if you have to bring a man down, if you have to bring a man black just because he might have an ambition, not even that he has signified. So I think this is where we have a problem. If because somebody assumed that my brother might want to become the governor of his state, and because I know him, then definitely every other thing I'm doing, I'm not doing it because I want to do it, I'm doing it to help him. It can't work that manner. And the moment I'm attacked now, then they believe that, the moment whatever I'm doing, they say, okay, don't do that again, I'll go and do something else. So for taking something away from me that is not at all cost, that is not a thing that I should hold on to at all costs now, the opponent will now come around and say, oh, it's because they want to get at his brother. It doesn't work that manner. We are sowing seeds of discord, and it should stop.
And acrimony.
It should stop.
Barrister Hakeem, let me take you. I don't know how active you are on social media, but Twitter was agog. During the week, with different insinuations and insult at the person of the vice president, with many people taunting him. I was so heartbroken. Now, do you think the way we are going about it, especially on social media, is the right way to go?
No, certainly not. I feel that it's a pitiable sight when you're on this social media, and you see the kind of comments. Of course, because it's not a personal, it's faceless, basically. Yeah. Especially Twitter, of course. You just see a name, and then you see one of the most horrible comments you can ever see.
Yeah.
And of course, people are taunting the vice president. I wouldn't want to say people from a certain political party or a certain region, especially. It's as if they want him to fail. Like, they don't know the facts behind what is going on. The slightest hint that something is going wrong, you start hearing things like, his Fulani paymasters have used him and dumped him, is this, and, of course, insinuating things that, mean that he has gone there, he has been used, and then he has been dumped like a bowl of dirty water. But, of course, we can't control the scene of social media. I think when that thing comes, there will be a problem of saying, why are you controlling this? You are supporting your party. And that issue will start to fight now. So, of course, we have to leave these things open. But still, as human beings, we have to have some sort of humanity in us, which is what is lacking in most people. They are ready to see somebody fail just to make a joke. Comments like slave master he has been used and dumped. As we have, as of today, we don't have any facts to support any allegation. It's just basically we are just permutations here and there of what might happen 2023, and probably this might happen, and I think it's this, I think it's that. And most of the time, maybe it's from the opposite party, the political party. It's always going to be negative, that they are planning towards 2023 and this and that. Of course, look, I heard one yesterday with one of my colleagues who said that 3 of the justices are about to be promoted to the Supreme Court. Were the ones who sat on the panel of the Presidential Tribunal. And that was compensation. That's what he used. That was compensation for the script that they played during the elections, the election tribunals. So you hear these things and you're like, where did you get this from? You say, well, but we're not in Nigeria. Why do you always have to have a permanently negative mindset? Well, it's too common in our country. I'm very sad.
Let me add to what he's saying. You see, if the people, like there is the common saying, that nature does not permit a vacuum.
Of course.
Just like saying that water will always find its level. If there is paucity of genuine, correct, basic, and fundamental information that are necessary from time to time and are not forthcoming, especially when a fundamental decision or step is being taken by the presidency as a whole, or in any ministry or any department of government, that this is it will fly.
All right, let's quickly go on to this issue of new SUVs for senators. Yes, this is coming to the fore because on Wednesday, Senate leader Yahya Abdullahi condemned the controversy surrounding the Senate budget. Of about 5.5 billion naira for the purchase of sport utility vehicles, and he said Nigerian senators deserve SUVs, and it's an insult to say otherwise. He said the status of the Senate of the Federal Republic is not undeserving of an SUV. He was speaking to journalists when he said that. And also the Social Economic Responsibility, Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP budget, Enough is Enough, and others have filed a lawsuit against the Senate leadership, asking the court to restrain, prevent, and stop the National Assembly Service Commission from paying or releasing this huge amount of money for the purchase of luxury cars. And I don't know why, but one senator is saying that this legal action by the CSOs against his plan to buy this official cars for members is an effort in futility. Yes, let me get your view on that, Barrister Ocho.
Well, because the matter is in court, I will not be quite judgmental.
Okay.
It is for the court to determine.
No, but the way you said it, I think you're just wasting your time.
But then let me say this.
Yeah.
Let's get one basic fact clear. Number one, I am not in support of what the Senate and the House of Rep are doing. I say that with the insight of the fact that we cannot have a devastated society as we have now, a terribly pauperized economy as we have now, people that are already demented physically, economically, and decimated, people that are in fact, you cannot call it close to a state of anarchy. Now, having said that, I don't expect them to, at this point in time, because every excuse that they put forward, for me, is not really working. It's not really working in the sense that 5.5 million naira for an SUV for one senator or a chairman of a committee, and at the end of the 4 years, you will sell it for a pittance, for a peanut.
And another set.
Another set. You now have to acquire a fresh one. It means that, number one, that since the coming of this republic, return to democracy in 1999, we have not learned anything. That's the bitter truth. The same thing, the same way their predecessors in office operated is the same way they are operating now. When it was Saraki's era, I think it was 4 billion era, 4 billion thereabout. Now it's 5 billion, 5.5, because the prices of all these things have increased. But having said that much, I will come back to the executive. As much as I am not going to prescribe that the National Assembly should be starved of fund, I want to say that they have more than what they need. What is actually required of the National Assembly, they are already having more than it. That is how they are able to come about this largesse.
They have excess and
they have excess to throw around. Because basically, the money that they are spending from now, it's already budgeted for them.
Yeah.
The money that they are pulling out this money from is already been approved by the Consolidated Revenue Allocation Fiscal Committee, or how do you call them? Now the question is this: legally, can they be stopped?
No.
I don't think so.
It's a matter of priority.
It's a matter of priority. Yes. They are spending their money the way they felt it should be spent. But the question goes back to the executive: how come that they have too much to spend, and Nigerians are growing day in, day out?
And we still have the issue of the minimum wage there. All right, Barrister Fred.
Okay, let me add to that. Like you quoted the senator. That's such a grandstanding is not the best. From the senator that is there to actually serve the people.
That comment actually a whole lot of Nigerians.
Yes, that is there to serve the people. If you are saying you are representing the people, how do you zero in? How do you consider or review the interest of the people that you are supposed to be representing? Like he pointed out, in the face of pauperized nation. In fact, I don't think Nigeria has ever come to this state of pauperism. Poverty, like anywhere you step out, even in the banks, you see people begging.
All rich people are now begging for money now.
A lot of people are out of employment. So the point I'm trying to make is this: it's true that they may not be able to fly in court, those that have gone to court, because the first issue to be raised is local standard. The second one is that how is your interest defeated or affected? Are you the only Nigerian there? But let's apply reason. Can they go for cars of lesser prices than what they are trying to go for? Must it be the one that we earn in 5.5 billion? More so that it's going to be for just 4 years. And after 4 years, like he pointed out, they'll be thinking of another new set. And people are growing.
They will sell this one to themselves.
People are to themselves and to their relations.
Maybe
some people combine several others. And before you know it, you see it in car slots. They'll be selling them as Tokumbo to Nigeria. And some as brand new. And let's ask the question: how many of the senators travel by road in their vehicle? You know, there's a recent development between Abuja and Kaduna now.
Yeah.
Most of them struggle with the masses or with the commoner to go by rail because of insecurity. If part of that money is channeled to check security on that route or generally in Nigeria, I'm sure it will go a long way as a panacea, as a solution to the problem of general insecurity in the country.
Right.
And the common man will be able to voice out properly.
So we've been able to establish the fact that they've not negated any part of the law with the purchase of this vehicle, because it has been appropriately budgeted for.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of morality,
decency, sense of duty.
All right, Barrister Akim.
Yes. I think what is most shocking is that, you know, consider as they have explained, the learned senior councils have explained that in the face of the poverty we have, our legislation is second most expensive in the world right now, after America, after the United States. And of course, we know United States is the strongest economy in the world.
You can afford it.
Secondly, we have Nigeria. I don't know what we are doing on that list, because the third is United Kingdom. You know, of course, and these are the people that see all this as a service to humanity or service to their people. That's why maybe on the slightest allegation, you see a member of parliament says that, I'm sorry, I disappointed you all, I'm going home. But here, with the sort of like gist you get on a monthly basis, as Senator Shehu Sani has said, revealed for the first time, with the kind of money you are receiving, why do you even need anybody to, why do you need an allocation to buy cars again? You can afford to buy a car every month till you leave for the 4 years. And I have a suggestion. If not for maybe, let me say, a vain nature, that's what will allow somebody like the senator to say that it's an insult. Because, of course, this is a right. It's Nigeria's money, I'm a senator, and I'm entitled to spend it because I'm a senator. Why is it that, for instance, an office cannot say, we buy 3 brand new vehicles for this office, not to be taken away by anybody? This is for the office. And I know that it's not maybe they are driving through the whole of Nigeria every day. Those cars can serve them for a lengthy period. Not the one that they will say they buy a brand new car. Everybody's buying a brand new car every time, and then they're taking it away. Why can't you say 3 brand new Jeeps for this office? You know, use it intermittently so that they're not wear and tear. And whoever comes in, why can't they use it if there's nothing wrong with it? Because we have so much money to spend to the legislature. That's why we have the second most expensive. And they feel that yes, since the money is there, they're diverting so much money to the legislature. And of course, they're having fun with it. They can spend it anyhow they please. They control themselves. They control how much allocation they receive. That's why they will feel it's an insult that, do you know how much we have budgeted for ourselves? They are telling me that I can't spend 5.5 billion naira for mere vehicles. Because I probably think the last budget was maybe 120 billion naira for less than 400, maybe 400 and something people. So the problem we have is that nobody, as in the morality of the people have not risen to an extent that this is not fair. What is the ratio of 400 and something people to 120 billion naira? How much is one person going to get at the end of every year? But nobody actually cares. The only person that spoke was Senator Shehu Sani. And where is he now? Probably at home, or maybe his family. I follow him on Twitter. I know he makes a lot of jokes on Twitter. But of course, he's no longer in the Senate to be able to say that kind of thing. No, you're not coming back. This is not the kind of people we need here. We need people that would key into the, so I won't call it a cult, key into the legislative understanding, and then, you know, understand what's going on and keep quiet. Now you now start broadcasting to Nigerians that that's why the man feels there's an insult. What do you mean?
And you know why it's easier for people like us to reason the way we are reasoning, and for those guys to reason the way they are looking at it. Ask me about the man who is the Senate leader now. He has never on his own worked to survive. He has never paid salary from his own purse before. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. I've had my office for so long, and I know what it takes to pay staff. This is a man, all his life, he has been hanging on the government. He rose to become a permanent secretary. After that, he became a governor. After becoming a governor, he's now a senator. And he's been a senator. So you cannot expect them to have a better way of reasoning. This is all their life. You know how long Lawan has been there as a senator? I think this is his 4th time. So how do you want him to, and for somebody who has taken so much honey, and you want him to spit it out of his mouth, he's never going to do that. That's the truth. And there is no amount of explanation that people from our side can provide that will change such persons. And I think basically there are few of them Even the few that are there that ordinarily are not happy with what is going on. But when money comes in, when power comes in, they want to look the other way. Yes, because it's the rule of the majority. Yeah. If majority says, okay, we are 109, and about 100 of us says, we are taking this thing. And the people say, no, now we can't have it. They say, okay. When they give them theirs, will they not accept it? So if you look at all of this, so it's more reason why I will still go back to where we started from. Let us review the Constitution. In those days when we joined practice, even before we joined practice, we used to meet people like Debo Akade and Co, Abraham Adesanya and Co. They come around, they come to the court, even while we were in school, that we go to court to watch them. As senators. They come to court as senators. And they say, oh, last night, when we were in the National Assembly, this is what we decided, and all whatnot. And they are back. They are back in court in the morning. These are things that will enhance legislative competence. Yes. These are things that will enable people to appreciate the purpose of why they are there. The kind of senators that we have today, the kind of national legislators that even at the state level that we have today, I don't expect them to perform better than what they are doing. Because how did they get there in the first instance? These are people who feel that they bought their way to get in there.
So they have
Gani Fawemi of blessed memory before he died, he contested to become a senator. He did not win. So if presidency, he never won. So if we are feeling what we are feeling now, if we are going through this, then we should throw the blame back to these people. All right. Because they are representatives. You voted for them. You got what you want.
Yes. All right. On that note, we have to go. Our time is fast spent. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on today's edition of Democracy and Rule of Law. Issues will keep emerging. Let's see how things go. And as they happen, we'll be right back on Democracy and the Rule of Law next Sunday at 1 p.m. to discuss issues as the trend. Thank you for watching, and do have a great week ahead. My name is Judith Renwa.
Yes, it's finally here. Galaxy Digital Communication Network, the latest digital outside broadcast company in Nigeria, with its modern state-of-the-art vehicle equipped with a 4-play slow-motion instant replay system and a software-based 8-input vision mixing system. Transmits live events like sports, political campaigns, concerts from Abuja to Lagos, Kaduna, Port Harcourt and all parts of Nigeria. Transmit these live via satellite to the entire world. Equipped with 8 digital cameras and highly skilled engineers, Galaxy Digital Communication Network will guarantee your best affordable and best viewed outside live event. For contact, call Bernard on 006 921 7414 or Afiz on 002 303 6584 or 0818 666 6662.
What would you rather be watching during your lunch hour?